Hi, welcome to my channel Mostly Knitting. If you're a returning viewer, thank you for coming back. And if you're new here, this is a weekly podcast where I talk mostly about the knitting that I've been doing during the week, and I also put out regular tutorials. And it is Wednesday the 5th of June, and I'm recording in Sydney, Australia. Right, so I'm going to start with one of my weekly segments, which is Friend from the Vault, and it's what I'm wearing at the moment, and it's the Larch cardigan by Amy Christophers. And I knit this in 2012, so this cardigan is 12 years old, and it's held up really well. I used Madeline Tosh Alpaca Sport in the colorway Candlewick, and I used about 4.5 skeins. So it is knit at a 23 stitch gauge, and I got gauge with this yarn. It's actually designed for Barocco Ultra Alpaca Light, which, so the Madeline Tosh Alpaca Sport is discontinued, but you can still get the Barocco Ultra Alpaca Light. So if you wanted to make it, you definitely can use that yarn. It's a really lovely pattern. It's knit like really interesting to knit and actually also really nice to wear. It's knit from the bottom up, and I don't knit a lot of bottom up sweaters or cardigans, but it has this really lovely detail where you knit, so it's got a lot of twisted stitches, and you knit the ribbing, and then you actually bind off all of the ribbing. So you can see there's that little braid there of the bind off, and then you pick up the stitches all the way around again, and then pick up and purl, because you're on the wrong side. You pick up and purl, and then you knit upwards. So other than that, so I knit to pattern, except the sleeves, they're set in sleeves, and you're actually meant to knit the sleeves separately and then sew them in. But instead I used Barbara Walker's, her instructions from Knitting from the Top, to pick up the stitches and then knit down and do short rows to shape the sleeve cap. And I think that's a really excellent way to do it, because I don't particularly enjoy seaming in sleeves. It is quite tricky to seam in a set-in sleeve. And I think from my notes, I picked up maybe 6 stitches too many. And I think in my notes here, it's got a little bit of just a little bit of extra fabric here. So you're better off, if you're going to do it that way, pick up 1 for 2. And that seems to be the rule of thumb for knitting these picking up stitches and doing the sleeves differently. And another book that is sort of a bit more, a bit newer than Knitting from the Top, but I love Knitting from the Top. I think it's a great one. But that's Barbara Walker. Elizabeth Doherty's Top-Down Reimagining Set-in Sleeve Design. She's got quite a lot of instructions about doing that to a pattern as well. It's got a lot of individual patterns in here. I'm not a huge fan of the patterns in this book that much, but I haven't knit anything from this book, but I do really like the information about taking a set-in sleeve sweater that is knit separately in pieces and instead just picking up the stitches and knitting down. And it's got heaps of details, this cardigan actually. You knit up here, and then you bind off these stitches and then knit up, and then you later on pick up along here, and then this shawl collar is knit. So it's heaps of twisted stitches, you can see. It's got these couple of buttons sewn in just here, and some button loops. I knit the 32-inch size, and that is my bust circumference, so it's got no ease for me. But if I actually try to button those, it ends up just pulling too much. So I think for me, they're pretty much just decorative buttons. I mean, if I was desperate, I could. I'll stand back and show you. So I also knit it pretty long. Back when I was making these, actually I'll measure and I'll put down below how long it is from the underarm down. I'm guessing it's probably like 15 or 16 inches. It looks pretty long. But I guess it's kind of almost more like, because it feels so tailored with the set-in sleeves, it's almost like, what do you call it? Almost coatish. Not coat, because it's not a coat, but like it just has that kind of very, it's very tailored and fitted. You can see, I find that quite, I don't know if it's the way my body's shaped, but these always sit quite far back for me. I don't know if that's, and see how that's kind of not coming all the way. I don't know if that's just my body or if it's the cardigan itself, but you can see here, so this is where you actually when you're knitting back and forth, you're doing short rows there and then consuming an extra stitch on each side each time. It's so clever. Like, it's just a really, I think with that, I really like I like in general the construction of it, but I definitely don't like seaming in sleeves, and it also means I got the sleeves to the length that I absolutely wanted them by being able to knit them top down and not sort of be guessing as I was knitting. I think one of the things that was interesting though is I had to figure out how to do that detail. So I just did it the same kind of way. I bound off there and then picked up the stitches and then did the twisted rim coming down. And yeah, so it's, look, the yarn is held up really well. It's actually really lovely and soft and squishy. There's no pilling. I'd say probably the only downside to this pattern is the color. I actually really like the color, but I don't know that it does a lot for my complexion. I've got a fairly olive complexion, and perhaps the yellow in the candlewick doesn't do as much for me as perhaps other sort of pinky colors. But yeah, I really like it, and I just wear it just with like a white, what I'm wearing now, like a white t-shirt and black jeans, because I think I like the kind of black and mustardy sort of color together. So that's my friend from the vault, something that I've knit earlier that yeah, I just like to show off. So I don't have any garment finished objects this week, so I thought I'd wear this one today. I do have one, so onto my finished objects. I have one finished object for the week, but I don't have it with me because I've already given it away. And it is but I'll put a picture of it up here. It's the Oslo hat with mohair. It's, I think the Oslo hat, I think it's maybe the 4th Oslo hat that I've knit. I knit it using, so these are my leftovers. Knitting for Olive, Merino and soft silk mohair in the colorways. They're both soft blue. That's all I have left of one ball. Now I had some yarn, some more of this left over from my Stockholm slipover, so I knew I wasn't really cutting it that fine, but that's I can't believe it actually, I could weigh it. It's 0.2 of a gram. And then there was 6.2 grams left of one ball of the Merino. And I've already given it away, so I gave it away to my friend Amy on Saturday. I didn't have a chance to block it, so when you look at the photos, they're unblocked. I only finished it on the Friday night and gave it to her on the Saturday. But I think the length of it is really just fine. I wouldn't have wanted to make it any longer. I know you can't see it on her. She actually put it on straight away when I gave it to her, but she wasn't feeling very well, so I didn't really want to say, can I take a photo of you? Yeah, so maybe if she's happy to send me a photo of herself in it another time, I'll put one up. But yeah, so really great pattern. I used one needle size bigger with this than I have on the other ones that I've done with mohair. I used a 3.5 mil, and I think that actually made the knitting experience a little bit more enjoyable. The 3.5 felt a bit tight and a bit dense. I think the 3.5 is my sweet spot for a merino and mohair. So I knit, I did a provisional cast on 112 stitches, knit one row in just with the merino, and then after that I added the mohair, and it did just make it just that little bit easier unpicking the provisional cast on, because I didn't have any of the mohair fluffiness, and there was no need. And if you are running a bit short of mohair, it just saves you a row. And then I knit, I think 60 rows with both together, put the two together, another 45 rows. Oh, sorry, then you do the turn, sorry. I did 60 rows, then 6 rows, then the turn, then another 45, then I started the decreases. And you can see that my circumference of the hat, this is unblocked, but I haven't found that it blocks out that much. 18.5 inches in circumference and 8 inches from the bottom of the brim to where I started the decreases. And yeah, I'm really happy with it. I think it's such a great, easy knit, and I was going to say I'm ready to do another one, but I already have started another one. So this is that's it for my finished objects. I'm up to my works in progress. I only have one new work in progress, and it's another Oslo hat with mohair. So you can see I've done another provisional cast on, 112 stitches. The first round, you probably can't see that actually. No, first round is just with I'm knitting this again with Knitting for Olive, Merino and soft silk mohair. These are both the colorway Ballerina, and I'm pink girl. I love pink. So I've knit quite a bit of that actually. I cast it on pretty much as, I think even before I finished the other one, like I was just on the decreases, and I started this one because I was watching a concert of my son, and so this I was able to do in the dark quite easily. It was a huge, big school concert, so it was, you know, I wasn't bothering anybody knitting on this. Yes, I've made heaps of progress there. I don't know how many inches that is, but quite actually, how many inches? Oh yeah, about 5 inches already, so I'm not too far off before I'll join the two together. And again, same thing, 3.5 millimeter needle, 112 stitches. And that's the fabric without blocking. And yeah, I'll make sure that with this one I get photos of it, 'cause there's no recipient planned for this one, just whoever wants it. We'll just add to the stash of hats in the house. So that's my first new work, or my only new work in progress. I'll move on to my other works in progress. I cast on the Poppy Tea by Petite Knit last week, and I think I'd only really just sort of started it, or I'd only just joined in the round actually. So I've actually made a lot of progress on this. I'll take the Larch cardigan off because I'll try it on. I'm just about to, it's a Poppy Tea by Petite Knit. Sorry, bra strap, it's very annoying. And I'm using Sandnes Garn Sunday and Tynn silk mohair in both colorways 4008. And I'm at the point where I think I'm ready to, I've followed the pattern exactly at this point for the smallest size, which is a 35.5 inch bust. I'm knitting it on the recommended needle size of 3.5 millimeter needles. The recommended gauge is 23 stitches and 32 rows, and I'm getting 25 stitches. If that stays true, which it seems to, like it is at the moment, I haven't blocked it, but that would get me to 32.5 inch bust, which is half an inch of positive ease. So that's fine for me, I'm happy with that. So I'll just try it on. I think I've got this the right way. Yes, that looks good. So I've just got on a couple of needles. Let's see. So it's quite an interesting construction. You cast on for the back, and then you pick up stitches and knit down the side, and then you do some increases just on the sleeves, and then you do some increases on the front and the sleeves. Everything is knit to pattern. I am due to split now, and if you look here, that's where if I pull those two together, I do have to cast on a few stitches under the arms. If I pull it really close like that, that's my armpit in there. So it's definitely not right up underneath, and I will also have some cast on stitches. And yeah, I think I'm going to knit this one. I haven't blocked it, so you can see that will sort of sit a little bit flatter. So it has that kind of, so that's running along the back. Yeah, I think it's going to be really nice. I'm at that point, but I think what I'm going to do is, so it's only meant to be a top sort of with sleeves to about, I think, elbow length, which I'll probably do. I think I'm at the point, even before I split this off, I might do the neckline. So the neckline actually has you do this sort of purl row, and then it's a folded collar, but because I like the folded collar on my Storm sweater, but I feel like a folded collar on a top might be a bit much. So I don't really like the purl ridge, or the sort of the purl bump around, so I'm definitely skipping that. And I'm pretty sure I'm not going to do the folded collar. I think I'd just like to do a straight 1x1 rib, and then I'll do a tubular bind off with like maybe 2 setup rows. So that's my plan for this. Other than that, I am knitting it to pattern. Actually, I really love these colors. This is going to be more like a spring, fall, which we call autumn here in Australia, sort of knit because of the mohair. I wouldn't want to wear this in summer. Like it'd be fine for now maybe with a coat with some pants, but yeah, I think the mohair would keep it a bit warm. I'm quite keen to make another top in something like this, either in this sort of color, either in a summer yarn or in just like straight merino, like maybe just this color alone, for something that's a bit more for warmer weather. But I kind of like the idea of, I think I'd like one more like in a summery yarn with a lot of drape. I can see, if you've been watching for a little while, I showed this other top a commercial top that's a knit top. that is really drapey, but it's sort of a bit old and it's starting to lose its shape. I would kind of like to recreate that, but I'm thinking more like with a cotton silk kind of blend. I don't know, I'll have to research for yarn that would work for that. But at the moment, I'm really enjoying this. I'm really quite keen to get this in my wardrobe. And because it's so straightforward at the moment, like there is literally nothing but stockinette in this, and some increases, right? So there's no, I'll have some ribbing here, and that's, I think it's even for the body, just straight down. So going to be very, very easy. And yeah, for me, this is a really good knit when I'm doing other things where I don't need to pay attention. But I'm happy, like I think this is right at this point to split off, but I will just do the neckline first and make sure, just in case it pulls it like way up. I don't think it will, but yeah, just to try on one more time before I split it off. I think that is, oh, the other thing I was going to mention was the yarn that Petite Knit uses in her pattern is the Cardiff Cashmere, and I'm really keen to try that yarn. Like I just I saw there's a lady, Lena Ram is her Instagram name. Her name's Lena. She used the Cardiff Cashmere for this. I think I might have shown it before, for a woolen berries top by sweater actually by Johi Locatelli, and I just love everything about that. The colors she chose, the style. I'd love to recreate that. So I'm keen to try that. I don't think I would buy because there is obviously I think it's called MA, the color in the Cardiff Cashmere that is like this, but I wouldn't make another poppy tee with that yarn. But I don't know, I really like the look of that with the cashmere. It's sort of, yeah, it just looks really beautiful. It's obviously like not a cheap yarn, and it would be tricky for me to try to get here. I don't really know exactly where to get it except from some stockists in Europe or the UK. So anyway, but it is something that I would like to try. I'm keen to, I haven't bought any yet, but I'd like to try it. So, and I think that's probably what I would make with it. But I'm mentioning it now because that's the yarn that this pattern was designed for. But I think it's going to be great in this, and yep, really looking forward to having that in my wardrobe. Right, so that's the poppy tee. I'm going to pop my, I might pop this back on just while I keep talking because it's a little chilly here in Sydney. My next work in progress is Charisma by Martin Storey, and I'm using the recommended yarn, which is Rowan Patina in the colorway Confetti, and it's an unusual yarn in that it's quite fluffy. It's mohair nylon wool and a little bit of polyester for the sparkle, and 50 grams is 250 meters, so it's got great yardage. Somebody was saying that this yarn is discontinued and could I recommend a substitution? I can't think of a substitution that I know of, but if anybody does and would be able to put it in the comments, I'd love to hear it. The other thing you can always do is have a look at people's projects on Ravelry, and if you like the ones that are on there, or somebody's who's on there that's used a different yarn, you could try that one. Right, so I've made a bit of progress on this actually. I have got to, so I did I'm using the recommended, no, I'm using smaller needles, 3.5 millimeter needles. The recommended needle size is 4 mil. I've decided to do a provisional cast on, and I'll come back and do the ribbing after I've joined both the front and the back, and I'll do that in the round. I've actually got to the point, doesn't really look like it, but I've got to the point in the pattern where you do all these bat wing increases. I've got to the point where you actually are meant to now knit straight. So I'll just show you on ignore the ribbing, so ignore the band at the bottom. I've got to come back and do that. This bit on the angle, I've actually done all of that, and now I'm about to do this section here, which is just the straight up, which will become, you'll pick up stitches and that will become the cuff. So it's sort of way out here. Sorry, I'll just show you on the pattern. So you can see here, that's like where I am at the edge, and that will, I'm at that point where I'm just going to be doing those straight. It doesn't seem long enough though. Like I'm on gauge. It's really easy to check your gauge here with these eyelets because every one of these eyelets is 2 rows. So it's, I've gotten a bit more used to the pattern. So it's knit 3 and then it's either knit 2 together, yarn over, or yarn over, knit 2 together. This is a free pattern. Anyway, that's 7.5 inches for me. And then now I have to do about 6 inches for the sleeve cuff. So obviously that will be like 12 inches around, and then it'll cinch in with the ribbing. Yeah, so that's 7.5 inches. Then the sleeve will be another 6, that's 13.5, maybe 1.5 or 2 for the ribbing. I don't know, I am on gauge, both, even I was a bit worried that maybe with my smaller needles, my row gauge might be off a bit, but it's not. I'm on gauge for row gauge as well. So I'm, yeah, like, what was I going to say? I can't even remember. I had a little brain fart. Yeah, anyway, I now am in just knitting straight up. Oh yeah, that's right. I was saying that basically it was sort of, I had to pay too much attention, but I think I'm okay with it, but I still do need to pay attention. It's very easy for me to sort of, if I was trying to have a conversation and I was on the knit row, instead of doing knit 2 together, yarn over, I might just randomly switch to yarn over, knit 2 together, and then I have to pull the whole thing back because that will totally stuff up the design. But yeah, it looks really lovely. I'm looking forward to it. And my friend Beck is knitting along with me. She was at this point a couple of weeks ago, so I'm not sure how much, and because she's a monogamous knitter, she might be quite a bit further than me. We've got a chat this weekend scheduled, so I'll see how far she is. But I won't try and knit on this while talking to her because I will definitely have to undo everything because we get a bit and then I will definitely have to rip back. So you can see it's really aggressively increased on the side, so it's very batwing. Yeah, I think it's going to be really nice. Once I get past this and I start doing the shoulder shaping, then I have to. I'm modifying the pattern quite a bit. I'm not doing a stair-step bind off. I will be doing short rows to shape the shoulders. Was there anything? Oh yes, I did block it too. Not on this needle. I put it on a really long needle and I blocked it so that I could really be sure that the gauge is, yeah, I think it's looking really, really nice. I hope as I do this, I don't notice any mistakes. That happens sometimes, but I don't see any. Anyway, yep, so, oh, one thing I did realize, like I do have a tendency, sometimes I time my rows. So each row is taking about 8 minutes. And so for the sleeves, that's 50, with my gauge, that's 50 rows. So that's about 50 times 8 is 400. So it's just under, but like, you know, a bit of time for faffing. It's about 7 hours of knitting. And then this is still only this is only half. But I'll be a fair way. Once I get that bit done, then there's just, I get a bit of momentum once I'm on the homeward stretch of shoulder shaping and stuff. So it's just, I'm at the straight up slog bit now. Anyway, I'm liking it, and yeah, I think this will be quite nice in the wardrobe. It's very feminine and very delicate. So I've got 2 more works in progress. I will show you. My next one is Snow Wonder by Heidi Kirrmaier, and I am using Rerum Natura Gilliat in the colorway Ciel, and I'm knitting the extra small size, which is 34 3/4. No, I'm not knitting extra small. I keep saying that. I'm knitting somewhere between the small 1 and the small 2. So I think it's going to end up about 30, and I'm on gauge of 19 stitches and 28 rows. So I think it's going to end up being about 38, 39 inches, which is about 6 or 7 inches of positive ease. So let me see. I still haven't fixed up that little bit around the neckline. I keep saying I'm going to do that and I forget to. Just a little bit where I want to just, when I picked up the stitches, there's a little bit of a hole there. So I'll just take some of the yarn when I weave in the tails. So I have, oh, sorry. I did say Snow Wonder by Heidi Kirrmaier. Hopefully I've already put a photo of it up. So I had to rip back because a few weeks ago, because I had not gone long enough in the arm size. So I added a few extra rows. I think I added 6 extra rows and just did all the bobbles along the way, and then split off. So, and I cast on 4 stitches under each arm, I think. Yes, if that's different, I'll make a note. Yes, 4 stitches under each arm. So that's going to be 8 extra stitches on the body and 4 extra stitches on the sleeves. And I think that's really important for me. Like, I think for the roominess of the sweater the style that I want it to be very relaxed. It probably looks a bit high, but it's actually not. That's going to be completely fine. I love the color. You might notice that the ribbing is maybe a tiny bit lighter than the rest. I don't know if you can or not. That's a different dye lot, but it's not enough that it's going to bother me. And I definitely needed the extra yarn because I only had 3 balls, and then I had a bit left over from my Manhattan hat. So yeah, I think it's fine. You know, unless you were like with a, yeah, no, I'm certainly not ripping that back. And I definitely need that yarn because I'm making a sort of a bit of a larger size. Let me see. So what's different? I'm using the recommended needle size of a 4.5mm needle. I've done 26 rows of the bobble chart, and the bobble chart is 65 rows, so I'm not quite halfway. There's 136 bobbles, and yeah, who's counting? I'm counting. I didn't actually count all 136 because it's sort of in quadrants. So I counted 1/4 of them and then multiplied by 4 because it's sort of here, 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 here. And it's all symmetrical. So yes, I'm not halfway, but I'm not too far. Anyway, I'm not really loving the bobbles, but I'm not hating it either. But it's definitely something that I have to pay attention to. Is there anything else I wanted to say? I am struggling a little bit with my tension. Can you see here on one side of the bobble, I'm doing one of the techniques that that Heidi mentions in terms of tidying it up, but like I'm really not happy with that. So I'm going to have to do some finagling with a tapestry needle and just pulling out some yarn to distribute that yarn a little bit more, or I could duplicate stitch. I'll have a little bit of a think about it once I'm, it's amazing what that can do, just grabbing a tapestry needle and easing out the slack in a particular area to distribute amongst the rest of the sweater. It's incredible how easy that is and what a difference it can make. So I'll try that first, and then if I'm really not having success, I might do a line of duplicate stitch. We'll see. But really liking it, and this is for our weather. This is going to, like, it's getting cold here. This will be a really lovely, lovely sweater on the to have in my wardrobe. So I have one more work in progress, which is Camisole number 9 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, and I'm knitting it out of Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino in the colorway Bark. And I really enjoy working with this yarn. I'm using one needle size smaller than the pattern. I'm using a 2.75mm needle, and I am knitting the smallest size. I was a bit worried about it being too big, but it's turned out fine. Now, I've done the neck and I've done one sleeve, and last week I realized when I had picked up the stitches for the second sleeve, I picked them up on the right side and knit 20 rows of stockinette. But that was all, I was actually meant to pick it up on the wrong side, so that then when you fold it over and then you sew it down to get this decorative, just try not to jangle, to get that decorative detail, you actually have to, so anyway, it was all going to end up completely backwards. So I pulled it out and re-picked up the stitches, and I've done, let me see, I've done 10 out of the 20 rows. So I've still got to do another 10 rows, which won't take very long. There's about 140 stitches on the needles, and then fold it down and sew it down. That's the bit that will take a while. That took me about 2 hours on this side, which is a bit tedious. But once I'm done with that, then it's just straight down the body. It's a folded hem on a two needle sizes smaller. And yeah, so like, and I think for most people, when they wear this, they sort of tuck it in. So, I mean, a folded hem looks nice, but I won't have to do this whole detail. So that won't take anywhere near as long. So once I get this done, I'll be fine. One thing I did want to mention though, actually, Chrystle suggested, she gave this really good tip, which was, she said, well, when you unravel it, instead of unraveling the pickup, unravel all the way back to the pickup, and then she said you could either start purling, but then that might change your gauge, or you can just, and I don't want to purl 20 rows either, or you can just turn your work like you would do a German short row, like when I do 1x1 ribbing from the wrong side. Just continue with the pickup, so don't unpick the pickup, and then turn around and knit backwards, so you don't have to do the whole pickup again and pick up from the wrong side, which I thought was a fantastic tip. So that's my tip of the week. It's not mine, it's Chrystle, so thank you, Chrystle. I ended up not doing that with this only because I was a bit concerned that the two of them matched. This side I did pick up from the wrong side, and I wasn't sure if it would make a difference. and I just didn't want to risk it with the amount of work that this is, that if I, like, maybe it would be one stitch in further or something, and I just thought, it may not work all that well. I actually don't think it would have mattered. I think it would have been fine. Now that I've sort of picked it up and I look at, because I took a photo of the before, like from the previous pickup, and then looking at it now, I think it's actually going to end up the same. So I probably didn't have to, but it actually was much quicker the second time around. But one thing that did make me think, and this is, I wouldn't have even realized this if I hadn't have made this mistake, and Chrystle mentioned that tip, I think I'll do that from now on. If I ever have to do this kind of pick up and knit again and pick up from the wrong side, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to pick up from the right side and then turn around and knit like in reverse. So I still get to knit, but I'll just pick up from the right side and then turn around and knit backwards. So I thought that was a great, thank you very much, Chrystle. I'm going to do that. That will actually make me less inclined to be bothered about this kind of, although the sew down still has to happen, but I don't know, I'm getting quicker at that too. So yep, I just don't really love it. Anyway, Cami number 9. It's obviously with the weather here at the moment, it may be a while before I get to wear it, but I do really want it in my wardrobe, and it's, you know, it's getting a bit long in the tooth. I've had it on the needles for quite a while now. So yep, I'll try and get that done. Hopefully at least that sleeve bit will be done by next week. So that's it for my works in progress and also our tip of the week. And now I'm going to get up to acquisitions. So one thing that I bought this week was a book, actually. I bought Patty Lyons' Knitter's Bag, let me see, where is it? Knitter's Bag of Tricks. And I bought it on the Kindle, and it actually, I haven't had much time to read it. I've only just had like a quick, maybe sort of read it. I went straight to the short rows in the round, the conspiracy of silence, because that is something that really interested me. I always found that when I had to do short rows in the round, the patterns just went, do it in the round, and they never really explained that there would be this problem with the ones that you made on the, which I've discussed in previous podcasts, the ones that you made on the purl side, but then you're resolving them in the knit side, you're doing it from the wrong direction. They can leave a hole. So I'm really curious to see what Patty's comments around that are, because I've done my own little workarounds, and I usually choose German short rows because I get the best results with that in the round. But I'm still a bit, like, I'm always up for tips and tricks. There's a few things that I did know already that I picked up from Patty from her Craftsy classes back when I was a Craftsy member. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to, when I have some time, spending some more time reading that. And I can read and knit, so that's something that I'm, when I'm knitting on the, and I have a bit of downtime, knitting on the poppy tee, probably I'll be particularly, I haven't read all of that on the short rows. I've sort of read the whole bit where she was talking about this is a problem, and I'm like, yes, Patty, it is a problem. What is your solution? So yeah, so I'm curious to read more of that. So that's one of my, I kind of wish I had ordered the hard copy, because I do really love hard copy books. I like with the Kindle, it's always available. So as long as I have my iPad or my phone, I've always got access to it, which is nice. But I love a library. I love physical books. I love holding them. It is actually harder to read with them though. So I guess that's one reason I do like having it on the Kindle. I'll be able to read it a lot easier because I can just knit and then just have it on the stand and flicking. But I still would love the hard copy. So maybe at some point I will get the hard copy as well. And the other thing, I may as well mention it now. I am planning to do an interview with Patty Lyons. She has a new workbook coming out, and I think the David and Charles Publishing is going to send me a digital copy of it. Haven't got it yet. And we're trying to work out a time. That will be my first interview for the podcast, and I'm really nervous about doing, not so much nervous about the interview, more nervous about the technical side of it, just like not stuffing it up or not recording it properly or the sound not working or something. So I might do a bit of practicing before I actually, just like practicing interviewing one of my kids or something and seeing if it works. So, but that is, that's an acquisition and something that's coming up. Another acquisition is a gift pattern that Annette, a viewer, gave me. And it's the Caitlin cardigan by Kirsten Ritter. It's a really pretty cardigan. I think it's got a 4-ply and a merino. I think that's only just been released. So yeah, it's really, really pretty. It's got these really lovely lace details. So I haven't sort of figured out any yarn for anything or had it sort of into my plans yet, but that was a really lovely gift. So thank you, Annette. And yeah, looking forward to planning that. The other thing, another acquisition that I'm actually going to go grab. So I mentioned last week that I was having some issues with like wearing a normal bra with a racer back top and how you can sort of see the straps. So I think it was Alan, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, recommended getting these some racer back clips. So they're quite inexpensive on Amazon. So I ordered a few of them. I haven't tried them yet. They come in all sorts of different colors and shapes and things. So I'm curious to try them. I haven't tried it yet. So once I've got Cami number 9 off the needles and I'm trying it on, I'll give that, because it would be nice to be able to wear a normal bra, not a strapless bra. And because it's fine here, it's just like pulling that in on the sides. So yep, I'll report back as to how they work. I just got them on Amazon. I think I've got 12 of them in there with all different colors. So that was a purchase. It's not knitting, but knitting related, because it's to wear, like to use with my knitwear. The other thing that I'll just mention is I had planned to buy some yarn from Bendigo Woolen Mills and something from Sunspun with my 20% off discount, but I haven't done that yet, but I really do want to. So they're not acquisitions that I've made, but I am thinking about it. So hopefully a Bendigo Woolen Mills order, a Sunspun order of something, I don't know yet, I haven't looked, but I've got 20% off, so I'm sure I'll find something. I also do want to get something from the Petite Knit website for the Florence, I think it's called the Florence bag, all of the zipper and straps and things. And, you know, it was my birthday a couple of weeks ago, so it's kind of, but I don't, like, I need time to think about it, and I'm just too busy to think about it. And then obviously the Cardiff cashmere is something else that I'm curious to buy. Oh, actually I'll talk about it in plans. I'm still also thinking about my yak yarn. The only other thing that I do want to buy, and it's not going to be straight away, but I'm probably going to go shopping with my mum when she comes back. So this is my, my iPad has, I dropped it. I actually had it sitting, I don't know why I did this. I sat it up here, and that's a really big drop off down into our, living area. And it fell down, and it smashed. And like, obviously I know I can get the screen replaced, but this iPad is so old. I don't even know how old it is. I didn't buy it. I've never actually bought, I've had a few iPads over the years, but I've never bought my own. I've always had like my husband's hand-me-down, so he'll buy a new one and then I get his old one. So I don't know how old this is, but it's very old. And yeah, I would like to get, I'd like to get the new one. There's a new one out. And particularly because I do a lot of presentations with maths as well, not just knitting. So for my students or for other teachers, and to be able to have that where I can actually draw, and because I've got this new magic pencil. I mean, I'm not an artist, but like, I don't know. I just, that's in my planning of getting the new iPad. So I'm doing some extra work in the July holidays where I'm getting some extra income from that. So I'm thinking of putting that towards a new iPad. I haven't got it yet, but that's in the future planning acquisitions. Right, up to what has caught my eye. Quite a few things actually. One of them is the Shore Tee by Anne Wenzel. I just think this is so elegant and so beautiful. I really love the how the cuffs here. It's just got like a little cuff, and it sort of blouses over a little bit. I mean, I think she's gorgeous. It just looks so pretty on her. It's interesting that it actually has quite a similar design to the Kirrmaier, because it's got those sorts of like vertical columns, but they're just much larger. So that would hopefully be quicker, because it's a lot more just knit, and then a bit of the panel. I don't know anything about the construction, but I do know that she knit it out of Isia Alpaca 1 and Trio 2. So the Alpaca 1 is a lace weight, 100% alpaca, and the Trio 2 is a sport weight cotton, flax and linen. So they're two quite interesting yarns. I'm not sure if Sunspun carries Isia. I wonder if they carry both of those. That's an idea. Anyway, you get the gauge is 21 stitches. Okay, my brain's already, I'm just got to park that. I'll look at that later. Another thing that has caught my eye, even though it's caught my eye previously and I've already bought the pattern, it's Fiola, I don't know how you say it. I think it's Fjolla by Isabel Kramer. And she knit that out of Mayak Baby Lace held double. So, and I've been wanting to try the Mayak Baby Lace, and I just think that's such a really pretty sweater, and I've obviously already bought the pattern. So thinking about that one. Another thing that has caught my eye is the Everyday Attitude sweater by Suzanne Summer. So I've seen this one before, but then I saw it again on Selma's podcast, Little Big Knits, and the shoulder detail just looks so pretty. Like just really elegant. I really like it. So I think that's that has sort of caught my eye again. And there's a new yarn that Mayak has put out called Fior de Lino, which is a 50% wool, 35% yak, 15% linen blend. And yeah, I think that might be a really nice one for that pattern. It actually, that yarn, the way it looks, I haven't felt it, but the way it looks, it reminds me of the Fibre Company's Meadow yarn. But the Fior de Lino is 50 grams is 200 meters, whereas the Meadow 100 grams is 500. So a little bit more yardage for the Meadow. But the Fior de Lino, it looks nice. Maybe it's the yak that's a bit heavier. Anyway, it's meant to have a 24 to 20 stitch gauge. It looks really lovely. So thinking about that for the Everyday Attitude. There aren't a lot of colours because it's obviously quite a new yarn, but yeah, I'll have to have a look and see if any of that would work for the Everyday Attitude, because I do like those sort of black and white colours for that pattern. Another thing that's caught my eye, so many things this week, the Violetta pullover by Claudia Quintanilla, who's from Knit Toronto. That is knit with a merino fingering and a lace silk mohair, so plenty of options for yarn for that. But I just think that's a really elegant design, but something that is probably more a holiday knit for me because there's quite a lot going in that lace work. So yeah, so that's something I have to pay attention to, and I'm just not in. It's caught my eye, but it's more like a for future when I have a bit more time. Two more things that are quite similar, the Monday sweater and the Adorable by Petite Knit and the Adorable Grace sweater. They both seem quite similar, and the Adorable Grace sweater is by Dorothy Officier. So those two look quite similar. There's sort of a merino, or sorry, a 4-ply and a mohair held together, raglan shaping, folded collar, that kind of thing. I do know that the Adorable Grace sweater has that pearl ridge around the outside, which I would not do. I'm not sure about the Monday sweater. I don't think it does. But, you know, you just drop that off, right? Like if you don't want to do it, you don't have to. So those two both look quite similar. I think the Adorable Grace sweater has some more puffy sort of balloony sleeves. But, you know, again, you can do that yourself. Like just don't do sleeve decreases until the end, right? So... but they're two things that have caught my eye and I'm thinking about. And the last one is the Sabai top by Suzanne Mueller. And that uses something like Sandnes Garn Lena, so 20 stitch gauge summer knit. There aren't too many things that I feel comfortable on that gauge for summer knitting, but I knit my Thea top out of Sandnes Garn Lena and I love it. I don't know what it is, like every other, when I've knit DK knit tops where it's just 100% DK cotton, they feel heavy, a bit saggy, a bit, what's the word? Like not very polished, a bit too thick. But with the Sandnes Garn Lena, for whatever reason, I really enjoyed knitting with it. It's obviously a blend. It's not 100% cotton. It's a blend of different things. But yeah, and I really like that Thea top. I think it looks really elegant and it doesn't look thick and homemade. It looks really polished. So I mean, I wear it with black pants and a suit jacket. Like I love it. And I think it looks really professional. So I think that's probably something in my future to get more of the Sandnes Garn Lena. Some people have talked about knitting the two strands of the Tynn Lena together to get like the Lena. But I think one of the things that I've found there is I probably don't have enough. So let's say I bought 3 balls of Tynn Lena, I could definitely make a top quite easily out of 3 balls of Tynn Lena. Hold that double, I've got half the yardage. I'm going to struggle I don't think I'd be able to make a top. I'd need at least 4 balls. So anything that I've already bought for Tynn Lena is not going to be enough to then go, oh, I'll make a Lena type sweater out of it by holding it, or top by holding it double. It's not going to work. So, but it is something to think about, and I might make it maybe something small out of it just to see how I like it before I buy 4 balls of it and realize actually I don't like it double. Anyway, something to think about. So my upcoming plans, I still want to make a Musselburgh hat for my son Zach out of the dark grey Bendigo woolen mills once I get it, and I still want to make the Stella quilt cushion out of the Vinegar Wool Mills, was it the Whisper I was going to get? Yeah, I think the Whisper. But the other thing that I've just thought, besides those two things, something that's just kind of mentally moved up in my sort of, I'd like to make this sooner rather than later, is the champagne cardigan. So I was gifted that, and I did have it written down, but I can't remember where I put it. So I'll just put down below who gifted that to me, so thank you very much. I want to knit it out of this yarn that I had frogged from, isn't that huge, from Turtle Dove. I didn't like it and I ripped it out. So there's obviously a lot here together. I've had this in stash, I don't know how long. This is probably some of the stuff I bought at least 15 years ago. So this is Shepherd Supreme, and I bought this off, I think, eBay, maybe even years ago. So that is an 80% wool, 20% mohair. That's a 25 gram ball. Look how tiny it is. And this is Knit Picks Aloft in the colorway Oat. So those two together, oh, I lost one, make this really nice heathery kind of color. And yeah, I think I'd like to make that for the champagne cardigan, but I need to swatch again because I'm a little bit worried that mine might be a little bit too big. But that is something that's kind of mentally moved up in my, at least in my queue in my brain. Yep, I think that's might be it for the knitting content and plans and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, if you're leaving now, thank you so much for watching. If you can do the like and subscribe and all that good stuff, that would be lovely. And yeah, I'll get on to personal stuff now. Right, so last week I went to a concert with my son Zach, and so he was singing in that, which was really lovely. And I got a lot of knitting done on my that ballerina hat, the Oslo hat with mohair. That was a very long day though. I started teaching at 7 a.m. that day and we didn't get home till 10:30 p.m. at night. So yeah, long day. Then I saw my friend Amy on Saturday. We were going to go for a walk, but she was sick and my arthritis is still not great. So I could do like a really cruisy walk, but like a big up and down walk, I'm probably not up for that at the moment. So, but we did catch up really briefly and she gave me this beautiful orchid and some lemon butter that she'd made, which was so nice. And we're all enjoying that. And yeah, so we ended up still catching up briefly and just like standing by the car and talking for half an hour because we just hadn't seen each other for a little while. So it was good to see her. And I had just normal, whatever, weekend working and stuff. I had parent teacher for my son Zach yesterday. That went well. He is working really hard and he's in his senior years. So I'm at the tail end of 3 kids getting through school. He's got about 18 months to go. And then, let me see, it's Wednesday today. I've got parent teacher for my year 11 students tomorrow night. We've got a long weekend coming up, which is really nice. And I've got, my mum's coming home on Saturday, so that will be really good to see her. One thing I'm really glad that we have this long weekend coming up is I've got my presentation to other maths teachers, my 2.5 hour presentation on Tuesday next week. So I'll be very happy when that's done. I've got to spend the next few days just polishing that up. And then after that, things will start to calm down a little bit. I do have this week-long revision program thing in the first week of my holidays that I've got to write lessons for, so that will take a lot of time as well. So by mid-July I'll be like able to just let my hair down a little bit. I think that's all for the actual like what's going on, like nothing too exciting beyond that. The other thing I would just mention is some shows that I'm watching or have watched. My husband and I started watching Eric with what's that guy from Sherlock, I forget his name, funny name, English guy. Anyway, it doesn't matter, I'm sure everyone's yelling at me. That's been quite good. It involves like a child that goes missing, and that was a bit like, just upsets me. I find that hard to watch sometimes. So I just ended up looking what happened just to be able to watch the rest of the show calmly. I looked up what happened. So, you know, anyway, I'm allowed to. I'm a grown-up. I get to make my own decisions. So yeah, I'm watching it, but I already know what happens in the end, but I can still enjoy the show. So that is one thing that I'm watching at the moment. Just, you know, on the weekends, in the evenings, getting a little bit of knitting done then. And the other show that I watched in the holidays, but I forgot to mention, is called After the Party. And I think it's an Australian production, but it's shot in New Zealand. or maybe it is a New Zealand production. Anyway, it's really good. It's also like got some upsetting stuff in it, but it was just such good acting and so just really, really well done show. So if you haven't already seen it, After the Party, I think it's on, I don't know if it's available in other shows. I watched it on ABC iView, which is like a catch-up thing, but I don't know if that's available in other countries. I always find that a bit of a bummer sometimes. Like in the UK, what's that the sewing show? It's not very good when I go rogue on this channel and I start talking about stuff that I haven't looked up. The Sewing Bee. Is that what it's called? I think it's called the Sewing Bee. Anyway, I have seen that past episodes in the past when they used to be available here, but then the new ones, you just can't watch BBC without, like, I don't know, some VPN thing, and I don't want to do anything dodgy, so I don't know how to watch it. Yeah, I would like to be able to watch it, but it is always a bit of a bummer when there's some program that's just not available locally, and I'd be happy to pay for it, but sometimes you just can't even do it. So anyway, right, I think that's probably enough. I will be back next week, and yeah, I will have finished that presentation to my to other maths teachers, and I will definitely be feeling calmer, I'm sure, and hopefully my arthritis will be settling down more than it is at the moment. That's the other thing that's worrying me a little bit, is I'm on my normal schedule of prednisone that normally works for me, and it's not working like it used to, so I think I'm gonna have to go back and see my rheumatologist. So that's always, and it's a bit scary too when you're like, oh, I'm in pain and this thing used to fix it and now it doesn't, or it's not at the moment, so maybe I need a higher dose, I don't know. We'll see, but usually like to get in to see my rheumatologist will probably take like, I don't know, 3 months. But anyway, you got to make the appointment and get the referral and whatever. I think it's been maybe 2 or 3 years since I've seen him, so anyway, right, I think that's enough. I will see you next week. Bye.